Namaste, Suswagatam, and welcome to our Sunday edition of Words of Wisdom, Gyan Ganga, on our Virat Hindustan Sangam social media channels. Today is episode number 249, and for the next 45 minutes, we will be discussing China. Has Modi betrayed India's national interest? So, Dr. Swamy and our team, will be discussing and analyzing this subject. We thank our viewers across the globe for their support we receive every week by your viewership and comments. And as I would say, please subscribe to our channel and like our channel. And we will be there every Sunday with some topic or the other topical issues to be discussed. So with these words, it is over to Dr. SUBRAMANIAN SWAMY to initiate today's discussion.
Thank you, Jagdish. It's an extraordinary situation we are in today. Something which even I didn't project or think it will happen. That the Prime Minister, in effect, has de facto surrendered to the Chinese on all their demands. And these are not coming out in the newspapers, they're coming out in little bits here and there. For example, take Depsang. There's no Chinese claim ever in Depsang. There's a mountain there, and then there is a border, which is an established border of Ladakh. It's not like Arunachal. It's an established border. And the Chinese never crossed that because our people were so well entrenched. Now they are saying that there will be a buffer on both sides, and that the Chinese will have an opportunity to come into Depsang. All this is being put out, and put out in such a manner that public will get confused. I wanted only one thing, Mr. Modi, to do. He signed an agreement this time with Xi Jinping. Please make that public. In any other country, when the head of the government or head of the state signs an agreement, that agreement is made public so that people can read, analyze, know the exact truth, and so on. So I'm asking, why is he afraid of that? In the beginning, he said, Koi aaya nahi. Now it turns out not only Koi aaya nahi, they came deep into our territory. Take for example, in the eastern part, where Panon Lake is there, and they have crossed that and entered and taken over a mountain, a huge mountain, which we vacated, by the way. It's not that they fought us and defeated us and so on. We just have vacated it. And Trishul is nearby. The only military airport in the whole of Ladakh is in Trishul. And now it's within the within the reaching hands of the Chinese. Not in the papers. Nothing has been said. Tomorrow there will be an announcement. This is the first time that they have mentioned about Arunachal. Arunachal, everything was very clear and right. And for almost 30 years, I would say, there has been no change. But suddenly you are saying, no, we will have this part given to them, this part given to them. So first of all, I would like to say, you, Mr. Prime Minister, you said Koi aaya nahi. When I said they have come, and you ridiculed it by saying koi aaya nahi, koi gaya nahi. Gaya nahi, I can believe, because you wouldn't have allowed them to go. But the fact is that the Chinese had come even as early as 220. And an officer of the External Affairs Ministry was posted in those areas, made a statement, maybe by mistake, but she was in fact then, I don't know where they have sent her off to. And she said it. It was never denied. But the fact is that we knew from 2020 that the Chinese have now decided that they have assessed Mr. Modi And Mr. Modi, therefore, will not be able to stop the Chinese from expanding for themselves. On the contrary, what we find is that Mr. Modi has become softer towards the Chinese as the Chinese are getting tougher and tougher. Has he some secrets with the Chinese? After all, when he was chief minister, he went 10 times to China. Why? He was not part of the external affairs ministry that he should go so often and have discussions there. What discussions did he have? The only discussion he had was a then ambassador, and that was the present foreign minister. Jaishankar was the ambassador. What these two people were doing when Modi came there, those reports the Chinese have, but since I don't have any documentation, I can't put it across here. But it's not something which will make you happy that the Prime Minister engaged in such activities. So my first question to all of us is that the national interest seems to have been betrayed. And when whether you say it actively or passively, it doesn't matter. But we have betrayed it in favor of an hostile, unfriendly enemy, which is China. China today officially is an enemy because they themselves have taken, the Galwan is an example. Of course, they got a beating there. I don't know what these poor Jawans will be now thinking. We gave our lives, our colleagues gave our lives, and this has happened. So this is the first point I would like to say. Jawaharlal Nehru also had betrayed, but the thing is that his betrayal was in the form of saying that nothing is happening. Here is not nothing happening. We have agreed in an agreement with the Chinese that this part is yours, this part we are vacating. We have created zones which was 100% Indian territory, undisputed in Ladakh, and we have given it away. So Jawaharlal Nehru was bad enough, and Jawaharlal Nehru was almost finished. He died because of the shock of the fact that he was exposed so thoroughly. But here, this man seems to have a thick skin, and he doesn't care about the Indian situation. Why is it he's not publishing the document that he signed with Xi Jinping this time when he was there in wherever he was in Pakistan or whatever? And I want to know why that cannot be made public. I can go to court. I can go to get someone in parliament to ask a question, but you will not get a reply. I've tried so much. How much area did China acquire? How many areas, square meter, kilometers Chinese have occupied? But they say we cannot give it in the national interest. Why not? What is the national interest in disclosing what Chinese have occupied? You can have national interest in not disclosing if India has occupied somebody else's territory, because we'll be maintaining that we have not done any such thing. So this is a second question which I want to know. Now, it's not that I am sitting in Delhi and making. I have dealt with these problems with Chinese. Kailash Mansarovar, everybody said, will never be allowed to be opened because it's a religious place. But I went there, I was received by their topmost leader, Tang Xiaoping, and Mr. Tang Xiaoping then ordered that every year, every year there's about 3-4 months, and each month there'll be 20 people from India, but they will be Hindus, of course, they said, because this is for religion. We will not allow any Indian to come, which, of course, Mrs. Gandhi's government quietly accepted, except told me to keep quiet on that, which I did. So Tang Xiaoping allowed us to come there and go and do puja in the Kailash Mansarovar area. Whereas here, they are not allowing you to go to what is your own territory. And we are accusing and putting out all these rubbishy things which is all these bureaucrats are doing. All of them will be sued in a future government. They'll all be taken for for sedition, for having betrayed the country? Do they not realize that? Why are they doing this? So they should have to resign and come. No, we can't do this. This is against Indian national interests. But none of them is doing it. So it's a real collapse. The Modi government, we are supposed to be, Hindutva-vadis. We are supposed to be, pujaris of Lord Krishna and Lord Rama and of course Shiva Bhagwan and so on. But when it comes to our own action, we are behaving as where some of the Rajas behave, not all, but some of the Rajas behave with when Genghis Khan came, or not Genghis Khan, those Muslim marauders came, and they many of them backed down. So I think we have now to understand that the country is not. It's not a question of China taking some property and taking it from us. It is the collapse of character that has taken place, where the Prime Minister of the country has meekly, keeping it in secret from the people of India, has meekly yielded what the Chinese want. And what were the Chinese really thinking? They are all over the place, by the way. Even when in the short period when there was some banning of the Chinese goods and all that, in Gujarat, in Adani's outfit, the Chinese were there. They were doing business fully. Chinese exports, imports kept on increasing in the last 4 years. The facts are all known to everybody. But there is no, our media is boneless, and therefore they are not able to put it out very clearly. Why can't the Indian press, which has representatives in China, get a copy of this, because it has appeared in Chinese papers in Chinese, what these two have agreed? And I don't want to quote it, because I don't know what people, people may say I don't understand Chinese, which is rubbish. But it will also be a sad thing for the country. I want the officials to say actually what India has yielded in the long run, and the various papers that have been signed, these should be put out and made available. Now, Modi had walked 18 times in all these fancy places with Xi Jinping, and he's never understood Xi Jinping. Xi Jinping, now doesn't even, Modi can go and embrace everybody, but he has to keep a distance. The Chinese officials have told Modi, no embracing, please. So this time he met him, Xi Jinping, and an extended hand for him, as if he doesn't know who he is. But he had been 18 times to India, where they had a one-to-one meeting, and they lived in, sometimes in Madras, sometimes this place, sometimes that place. And today he has got an assessment that this man has got no backbone, and therefore I can do what I want. And the process has started. And this will mean India will cease to be considered as a potential world power, which it has the facility for, the population for, the resources for, the ability for. But in the world today, United States and China together will deal with like the Russians, the Soviet Union, and the Americans they will deal with world affairs, and all others will fall in line on either side. And maybe we'll not be able to go on the side. So what I'm asking is that let us first and foremost ask the Prime Minister. You said koi aaya nahi, but it looks like that the many came. So what is your explanation? How much have you conceded? How much you have converted into a no presence zones, where the army of India has come away from its own territory and backed off? Give us all these details. And unless they do that, I think somewhere along the line in the future, we will have to take steps in the courts of law, if there's nowhere else. Ideally Parliament, but Parliament, I don't think we will get any of them have the nerve to do this. But I think somewhere we will have to go to the courts and take our chance that Mr. Modi is brought to the deck and asked to confess or tell the truth as to what their position is. I would like to say that one of the worst things that we have happened is India's jumping into the lap of Putin. Putin is a total stooge of the Chinese. He cannot even maintain his economy under the Chinese, give them some money. And he has all the time advocating China in all places. Everybody knows this. But yet Mr. Modi has gone and met him separately. Why? What is it? What is it that he learned? Or is it that they're going to say that, please, I can't say it directly to Xi Jinping. You please convey that I am ready to do whatever and become one more part of the Xi Jinping harem where Xi Jinping will do what he likes. I think this fall which has taken place is because Mr. Modi is now afraid of being exposed by the Chinese of all that he did when he was chief minister in his 10 visits to China, and recently with the help of the business community, what he has agreed to sell out of Indian interests to the Chinese. So if we are not to become again a colony, remember that we did become a colony, and it was a small country called England, and they took it over. When your mindset weakens, you can be anything. You can become a tame animal. That is the danger today, and the country must rise and demand that he publishes a white paper giving all these details, starting from 2020 when he said koi aaya nahi, koi gaya nahi, from that time to today, and let the country decide whether Mr. Modi should continue as Prime Minister. Over to you, Jagdish.
Dr. Swamy, a lot of viewers are expressed appreciation that unlike the mainstream media, nothing much has come out from the reports that have come out after this said meeting, and a lot of media houses are claiming it's a big victory for Modi. One of our viewers, Rahul Rawat, as you see the question is on the screen, he wants to know how can common Indians counter China's action? Being a big economy with trade surplus, what should be India's long-term plan to counter China?
No, you see, the question is, if you want to counter China, there are many countries who want to help you. I would say that you don't have to go searching for countries. The United States, Israel, and India, these three come together. They have three different strong points, and those three things will combine together. It will be a huge power. Then all the other democratic countries of Europe will also come with you. You will become part of, there will be a new NATO. So there is no shortage. It is the mindset which is weak. You see, this fear that the Russians or the Chinese would expose your dark secrets, that is what is making them do like this. This is, if you ask any psychologist that in these circumstances, when you had the entire power, you had 2/3 majority, you had on stage, all this thing, and today there is no challenge to you in your post. Why are you buckling under the Chinese? The only explanation will give is that they don't want certain things to come out. And there's no doubt that when he was chief minister, he went 10 times to China. What for? I mean, when others go, when I go, I give speeches in the universities, and it comes in the newspapers. Here, this man went. Of course, our ambassador was Jaishankar, and what these two did together, we don't know. So I would say that Mr. Modi today is being blackmailed by the Chinese, and therefore, please don't ask for logic. Why is it that he can't take a stand? This is the reason that he is blackmailed by the Chinese.
Dr. Swamy, another viewer wants to know that in case there is a conflict, an open conflict or a war between India and China as the position stands now, assuming that things have not normalized, what are the consequences of this war? Can India take on China, especially on these border issues? Viewer wants to know from Pune.
See, there are a lot of circular questions that you have asked, in the sense that many people ask also. And that is this: you are not going to attack China and evict them. In fact, the place from where we have evicted China in a big way, in Arunachal, this time we have said no Chinese soldiers can come there. We allowed them to come. You must have seen it in the papers. So the issue is not if India, will China do it? That question is the most pertinent. And I can tell you from what I have seen, when the first time I got surprised is when Mr. Modi in 2016 asked me to become chairman of the BRICS Bank, which was being created in China, in Shanghai. And he told me the huge salary you will get. And he says the Chinese were very enthusiastic about your coming. All this thing, he had it conveyed also through Mr. Amit Shah. And there was a meeting where the RSS prominent person was also present. And I said I left America to come to India. I'm not going to anywhere else. So I've said no. And there was a lot of feeling of being my letting down the Prime Minister. He's got the chairmanship of BRICS Bank. Then itself I knew that these Chinese must have been working out a plan by which slowly, then bring in Adani, give him everything in the export-import business. Then there are other people also who collect money. They have also been looked after by the Chinese and of course the Russians. So these are all planned things which has happened. And I think when in the 2020, when he said, "Koi aaya nahi, koi gaya nahi," that is the time the Chinese came to the conclusion that now Mr. Modi is in our pocket. He will not do anything against us because he's afraid. Otherwise, he would not say "Koi aaya nahi." When the Chinese had come and they had occupied our areas, and ultimately Galwan gave it all away. So today we should really ask ourselves, why is when and how the society can have a new leadership? Because if you have put it to somebody, either you kick them out, and if you can't do it, then please leave. We'll find somebody else. It's better to go on experimenting than saying, "Oh, our leader says that they can't be evicted, and therefore we have to stomach it." That is not an acceptable thing for us. We then should not ever take the name of Rani Jhansi or any of these great warriors who rather gave up their life than to succumb to foreigners.
Before I go to the next question, Ramesh, if you have any question, then I will take more questions from the viewers.
Just go ahead with the question from the viewer, Jagdish. I want to ask Dr. Swamy one detailed question. So you go ahead with the other question from the viewer.
Dr. Swamy, some of the viewers want to know, in the larger scheme of things, global strategy, global politics, and all that, how do you see this conflict? Modi maybe wanting to claim that he is made up with China, and in the context of USA and all that. So how do you see the whole thing in a larger geopolitical situation?
You see, according to my understanding, I have no official confirmation of this. The Americans made up their decision about a year ago that Modi cannot be an ally. But they didn't want it to be known in a bitter sort of way because they still feel that the Indian public is a very important public. And therefore, maybe there'll be a change of leadership, whatsoever. So we will just go on scaling down. And the latest is the way our officials have been publicly humiliated. If our officers broke the law, of course they should be punished, but that should be done discreetly, quietly. But they didn't. They chose not to do it, and that means they wanted to say that you don't count for very much in our country, and we are treating you like criminals. And so even your national security advisor, Doval, he's also been asked to come to America and face the trial. The Americans seem to have washed their hands off Mr. Modi. Now, whatever pretenses we may have, whoever becomes the new president of the United States, there's going to be no change, because the United States has a system by which nobody can do what he pleases, even if he is Donald, the great Mr. Donald, who's a presidential candidate.
Trump.
So, yeah, that's his next name is his formal name is Trump. So Donald, and whether it's Donald or whether it's
Kamala Harris, Dr. Swami.
They will. There is an establishment in America which nobody can go against. No leader can go against, and they set the tune. And this has become quite clear that India has lost its status as a ally of the United States. So I think Modi came to know of that, and that's why he went running to Russia and was willing to shake hands with the man who walked with him for 17 or 18 times, and then clandestinely took away our land and is continuing to do so. I think it's a sign of his bankruptcy that he is now knows that if the United States is not with you, then better to fall at the feet of Xi Jinping, which is what's happened.
Ramesh, are you ready with your question?
Yeah, I am ready. So, Dr. Swami, I'm going to present you some things.
Yeah.
And then you can go from there, Dr. Swami. So, the first thing, as I at the outset, Dr. Swami, had to stage, viewers, I hope you can see this. Even though it's, it might not be visible, I'll give you the context. Dr. Swami, this is the press statement made by India. Okay, it's a 3-point statement, essentially calling for what was discussed. And the next page, this is the Chinese statement. Okay,
yes.
This is the Chinese statement made in detail, much more in detail compared to what was in India. You raised a very pertinent point as to why is this so-called agreement not being made public. What is this agreement? We don't know what this is. So far, we don't know what this is, what this statement is. At this point in time, this agreement talks about only Depsang and in that area alone. It doesn't talk about any other area. What is surprising, Dr. Swami, even in spite of all of this, they have not done very important thing, because there is a report that said the agreement is limited to Depsang and Demchok. Disengagement. So I don't know what disengagement is. So they're saying it will be disengagement in step 1, de-escalation step 2. I don't know at what point in time are we going to get the lands back. So we don't know that. So that is left up to it's up for questions. Okay, Doc, go ahead. You can react to that.
One interruption. It says Yangtze. Yangtze was not even allowed in 1962.
Yeah. So I'm coming to that, Dr. Swami.
Having come there, now you told them, please come.
Yes. So, and very important part, Dr. Swami, is now the Chinese patrols will be allowed at Yangtze. Whose land is he just saying, okay, you go take whatever you want, come do whatever you want inside India? Because, Dr. Swami, if you look at the Yangtze issue, Dr. Swami, Indian soldiers fought against the Chinese and kicked them out from the Yangtze region. Now India is betraying those very soldiers that put their life on the line, fought for the country, and made sure that the Chinese did not infiltrate there and kick them out of there. Now India goes, it's okay, fine, it's a free run, now you can come in. So what? It's a severe slap on the face for these soldiers who put their life on the line and defended the country. So how do we answer this betrayal, Dr. Swami? What kind of answer can be given to the soldiers that have been betrayed like this?
No, the answer, of course, we'd say that listen, we are a democracy, and we have to do things peacefully. And in fact, if the blood boils of the people, we'll have to control that too, because others will take advantage of it. So I would say that first of all, make our people aware what is happening. You and I know it is not enough. Let there be more conferences, more speeches. I don't know why the media doesn't pick it up. I know that media has many of these documents, but I know some of them very, very intimately, some of these media people. And they say, no, we are afraid of our lives if we publish this. So the question today is how to make this believable, that a man like Mr. Modi, who did all this public image building, has actually turned out to be a quisling, you see, and is literally bowed before Xi Jinping. You can see even from their handshakes. And by the way, normally Modi will run to wherever Xi Jinping is standing. This time they won't even let him come near Xi Jinping till except that meeting that took place. So we have to look at what we are dealing with. There was a time when we could not fight the British. There was a time we couldn't find the Mughals, but ultimately, by and by, we were able to get rid of both of them. So today also this slavery atmosphere that is building up in a sophisticated way, we have to do these kinds of programs that we are doing today. And situation changes. So I would say let us be concentrating on going to TVs, challenging debates if anybody dares to come, and so on. So they'll say March, and then after March we will take a review, and then we will take the next step. That's the only way to go ahead. But at the same time, please see that we don't become despondent that we are not in a position to do anything. Of course we have, but that has to be done just as a plant has to be nurtured before it gives you a fruit. I think the same way the nation can only stand up when you have sufficiently informed them, convinced them, and then they decide to stand up. That is the duty that we all have today.
The other important point, Dr. Swamy, army sources denied any quid pro quo. So what is this agreement? So the government has decided to form an agreement, allow Chinese into the Yangtze area without the army's approval. So there seems to be a serious disconnect between what the armed forces are thinking as to how this needs to be managed and what the MEA and the government is doing at the bureaucratic level. I mean, it's pretty apparent that they are not talking to each other.
I'm saying leave alone the army. What about the defense minister? Does he know what is going on? Has he made any statement which is
I don't
worthy? In the parliament, to my questions, he has struggled how to say without having to say. You see, and I've still got it. It's now in the Delhi High Court, because even in the right to know system, they were helpless. So ultimately, I had to go to court, and the court has to consider it. Now, that is the state. Whether the Chinese have come into Indian territory, and if so, how much is this question I've asked? And they are not ready to give. They say we cannot give in the national interest. What is the national interest here? Like, koi aaya nahi, koi gaya nahi is part of the national interest. Yeah. So this is what I'm most concerned about. I have no faith in Congress party, by the way. I know the tentacles which the Chinese have on the Congress party. And I've known it since the time I brought down the BJP government in 2029. At the time when I brought it down, I know it became clear to me that I will not succeed, even though everybody had given it in writing. will not succeed because the Congress will ultimately back out to see that a nationalist does not come to power in the government. So we have a history from Jawaharlal Nehru, Indira Gandhi, etc. The only person who I thought could stand up was Narasimha Rao. Chandrasekhar was too small a period for me to make an assessment. Of course, the little that I saw of him, he was very, very tough and very straight. But there was no issue, so I can't measure him. But Narasimha Rao, I know, he was the one who stood up to all this, and ultimately the Chinese signed the agreement that they will not cross a certain line which India had originally proposed. So that is all now gone, finished. Chinese have gone all over it. So here is a question that our people can do it, but we have to. We are in a difficulty because the media has become totally pussycat, and so we have to rely on other media like our media. That today we are having this function. Tomorrow there may be a order saying that all non-officially cleared media will not be allowed to broadcast anything. They can do that because once they've tasted blood, they can and they know there's no way to go back now. They will do this.
Doctor, one important point. I just want to bring out the differences between what India had put out and China.
Okay.
China has not spoken about has not used the word border. I mean, I've just looked through this. It only is talking about cooperation, building relationship, and this and that for a long time, and probably down the page they're talking about maybe fifth or sixth paragraph. They're saying maybe somewhere down the line they're saying, okay, we'll talk about border. But India is saying we need to talk about the border. China does not see this as a border issue, but it is one. They don't seem to care what Indian side is saying. They're going by what they want to say. Two, there are stories out there, there are news items out there, Dr. Swamy, that the Indian businessmen, quote unquote, maybe one or two people, maybe even one person, has pressurized that this agreement take place because there's a lot of things at stake. Okay.
That is a blame which I think is unfair, because businessmen will do it. They always do it. But your politicians don't have to yield to it. Especially if you are buddies, the businessman and the politician, then the politician should have the nerve to tell the businessman, listen, you want to make profit, I can find some ways for you, but don't tell me what I should do in the political arena. So if the businessman has done that, that means that you are much worse than I thought. You not only don't have a bone, but you don't have a morality.
Because there are a couple of publications that are talk about why. I mean, there is some incident. It's just conjectures. People are making saying some businessmen are putting pressure on China because they fear that if China puts any restrictions, and their business will get impacted, and India being a large importer from China will get impacted by anything putting any more pressure on China. That is one opinion which I feel is shocking in nonetheless. And last but not the least, Dr. Swamy, I think Jagdish put this out on the other day. Apparently, this is a mock-up of the currency that the BRICS bank is going to put out.
Yeah.
Shockingly, I think Jagdish brought this to everybody's notice. They put Taj Mahal there. I mean, at what point are you not going to surrender, Dr. Swamy? Once you start bending, they're going to keep. My point is not to divert the topic away from BRICS. My point is to show consistently, you keep bending, they'll keep putting you down further and further. I mean, there is absolutely no. When we put this out, I mean, Jagdish, when he put it out, it got a phenomenal reaction. It became a viral reaction saying that, why are we doing this? I mean, what is the necessity? So basically, they don't even consider to take a feedback from India. Everywhere else, if you notice the currency, Jagdish, if you want, you can explain, because the other parts in the currency show a church. If you see, it's called the church. I mean, Jesus the Redeemer from Brazil. That's a statue. That is a church in Russia. every other country is a religious figure, but for India, are they saying India is a Muslim country now? I don't know, because by this currency it appears so. It just they put a Taj Mahal there, but it is obvious from this so-called agreement, Dr. Swamy, that India has, as you said in your tweet, has surrendered.
Yeah.
Has surrendered. It is not an agreement. It is an abject surrender of our whatever rights and whatever reasons, whatever the army fought for. Completely. We have no clue. They just say it is a disengagement. It is not even anything de-escalation. So what? And they agreed to move away the patrolling. It is absolutely not clear, and they think that Indian most. I think Modi knows the pulse of India. They're not going to bother with the details. They're just going to read a few lines on Twitter and just go back and cry about the next thing, because I'm pretty sure, Dr. Swamy, with Diwali coming next week, this will be completely diverted into a cracker issue. People are not allowed to burn crackers. It is my Hindu right and all that nonsense that goes around every year on year. He will clearly divert the attention, but this is super critical that India has surrendered, as you mentioned right at the beginning of the topic. India has surrendered to China but I don't know the reason why. That is still $1 million question, or $1 billion question, or $1 trillion question for some businessmen as to why has it surrendered completely.
No, surrender has to be for blackmail, through blackmail. It cannot be any goodies that they offered or this is too much. He knows the implications. But if the truth comes out, which the Chinese have got plenty of, then they will probably be lynched in our country. So therefore, it's better to lie, and that's how it is. We know that he went for 10 times to China when he was a chief minister. What did he do there? And who looked after him is the same man whom he has promoted from nowhere to cabinet minister for foreign affairs. So I think we should not go into this. We need not worry too much about this, because this is obviously now a situation where the people must revolt, say this is not acceptable, and there should be slowly. It cannot be done overnight. A build-up of people's anger. The recent Lok Sabha elections has shown to you that how people quietly went and actually brought him down below majority. And I also feel that BJP should strive to remain in power. But BJP is not today being run by the ideology for which BJP has come to power. It is now run by an individual and his sycophants. And we want to make sure that the true character of the BJP comes out, so that it can rule this country and bring about the social change that we want.
So I want to show you one small video, just a very short video.
Yes.
चाइना के साथ उनकी इन जो हरकतों के खिलाफ आवाज उठानी चाहिए थी, लाल आंख कर करके चाइना को समझाना चाहिए था, उसके बजाय आपसे मिलकर खुशी है। और जैसा आपने कहा, 5 साल के बाद हमारी फॉर्मल मीटिंग हो रही है। हमारा मानना है कि भारत और चीन के संबंधों का महत्व केवल हमारे लोगों के लिए ही नहीं, लेकिन वैश्विक शांति, स्थिरता और प्रगति के लिए भी हमारे संबंध बहुत अहम है।
So लाल आंख कहाँ है डॉक्टर स्वामी जी?
This is what needs to be circulated.
लाल आंख कहाँ गया?
Dr. Swamy,
Yes.
like what Nehru did, and now history or the new generation has found out how Nehru also failed on this China front. Even in those days, Parliament and all that, there were a lot of discussions, and Nehru has been shown in his true colors. Do you think Modi doesn't realize that the alert media or the alert public will not know about these betrayals? What you think is Modi's and his bureaucrats who are close to him thinking of these issues? Because just like Nehru, we now feel very strongly on partition or his treatment to the Hindus or the way he dealt with Kashmir and China, that everything has been exposed. Don't you think Modi and his gang of people around him will not have this fear in their minds?
Well, their past practice shows that they need not have any fear. How many things they have done? Today, the entire media is, especially the English media, which is read by foreigners and so on. They're creating an impression that it was a magnificent visit where he got everything done. He's even improved his relations with China, all these things. The Chinese papers don't reflect any of this, nor any foreign papers, nor New York Times or the Japanese papers. None of them reflect this. But Indian papers are doing that. So it's when there is a collapse of the vertebra or your backbone, then the first thing to do is to rebuild it. Yes, we have in the past, people have stood up. In the emergency, there were leaders who stood up, even if they were in jail. For example, Moraji Desai, Chandrasekhar. So many of these people were in jail, but they didn't write apology letters. There were, of course, one or two leaders who wrote apology letters. I need not mention their name. They're not alive anymore. But the fact is, the bulk of the leaders fought the emergency. And therefore, are we today in a position where we are going to fight? Because that time Jayaprakash Narayan had led a movement. And that movement reached its apex. At that time, Mrs. Gandhi imposed the emergency. Today, is there anyone whom the people will follow and say, like Jayaprakash Narayan, we are with you? That process starts, then you will see. And I'm sure in the case of Modi, that he doesn't, like Mrs. Gandhi had a total control of the Congress party. Modi does not have a total control of the BJP. In fact, he has hardly any control. But in the name of discipline, most of the people keep quiet. But somebody has to explain to them, somebody important has to explain to them that this is not discipline. This is Hitler's method of arguing to say that discipline is very important, is most important. This is a thing where you have to see that the country's democracy is not ruined. And that has to come, and the process has begun. But I don't know whether we have enough time by the time it takes its full flavor. So at this time, I would say that there is a lot of revolt. A lot of people are speaking up. Even media is here and there making cracks. Altogether, I think we should believe that we in the past have always stood up in the end, and ultimately we have got our way. So many people come and conquered us and then had to leave. So many people gave their lives for the freedom of India, and ultimately we became free. So I think there should be no need for any worry that people will not stand up. But the question is, those of us who can stand up now must stand up and fight it back.
Dr. Swamy, a reader, a viewer, sorry, Ramesh, you were asking a question.
Yeah. I just wanted to request Dr. Swamy, अभी हिंदी दर्शकों के लिए आप ये जो हम बात किए हैं, वो तो हिंदी में आप एक छोटा सा शब्द बताएंगे तो उनको भी पता चल जाएगा.
जगदीश अपना बात को पूरा कर दें, उसके बाद कर.
Dr. Swamy, one viewer, Bharat Patel from Ahmedabad, Karnavati, wants to know what happened to the fight and that place, Galwan Heights, which was part of the where a lot of soldiers were martyred fighting these people, the Chinese. what has happened to that place? Is it still under India's control, or is it surrendered to China?
No, the soldiers were given orders to come back to their camp, and it is now in the control of the Chinese, 100%.
Oh, that is very sad.
Yeah, I will tell. I have written a letter to the government of India. Please let me go to Galwan and see what has happened. They won't let me. There's no, and these are written to Rajnath, who knows me very well, and he's a sane man, but he has no power to allow me to go. I want to go in the entire roam around in Ladakh, but I'm not allowed to.
But now that Dr. Swamy, but now that Modi is claiming that things have settled with the Chinese, they should allow you to go to these forward areas, because they're saying normalcy is going to happen in the next few weeks. So they should allow the bluff can be called off, or it can be exposed.
Yeah, that is one of the satyagraha steps that I can take in the coming days. Yes, it's a good suggestion. Thank you.
And adding Dr.
Dr. Swamy, a viewer from Mumbai who is in business, Mr. Chopra, wants to know that India and China have so much of business interest. India imports so much from China.
Yes.
Will a deterioration of relationship with the Chinese, as it was heading towards it, would it not have affected in the Indian economy?
Well, if we really have serious confrontation with the Chinese, in which we ourselves took steps, there will be many countries who will buy what you are selling to China today. And let me tell you that China-India trade is totally in favor of China.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The trade figures clearly show that. And what are we getting from China? And what are we giving to China? Please read all the list. We don't need that trade at all with China. And if you make an announcement that you have decided to take on China, and our 1.4 billion people, 1.4 billion people are ready to face the Chinese, are willing to liberate Tibet if necessary. If you make that statement, there will be many countries who will come and support you. It's not a one-to-one matter. China will be the biggest loser. So therefore, they do all this golmaal and bring around a few people, blackmail them, that sort of thing. But if India took a stand, there will be many countries which will come to support you.
Dr. Swamy, you quoted absolutely, the deficit between China and India is about $100 billion.
Yeah, and we are the minus point.
It has increased 21% compared to the last year. 21%.
That's right. In this period, yes.
Yeah, so-called period.
Yes.
One other question, Dr. Swamy, is when Jagdish raised about the border issues and things like that. In the Debsang Demchok area that was occupied by China, there is no mention in the agreement. What are they going to do there, Dr. Swamy? Because that shows easy access to POK and this cross, whatever China can feed up POK in Pakistan. So there is no mention of a very crucial area of the Debsang and Demchok.
2 years ago, we were in charge of that mountain.
Right.
Kailash
range.
Which range?
Kailash range.
Yes, Kailash range. Yes, Kailash range. We walked out of it. We asked our soldiers to come back, and then the Chinese occupied it. This is not 3 years ago. And I gave so many press conferences, nobody carried it. So why ask about that? I'm saying that you have only one airport in Ladakh, and that is in exactly this near this place. So therefore, I don't know what is happening there, that you give anything the Chinese want, and lose whatever losses the India has to bear. So this is why I'm saying that the country must act, and the people should at least start the process of asking the government, start by saying, you signed an agreement with Xi Jinping. Please give us a copy of that. We want to read it. And if they will not give it.
अच्छा हिंदी में कुछ दर्शकों के
डॉक्टर
लिए
स्वामी, आप viewers-
मैं कह रहा हूँ, हिंदी में बोलूं?
हाँ जरूर
मैं
जरूर।
इतना ही कह रहा हूँ कि हमारे राष्ट्र हित में चाइना हमारी जो विस्तार हो रही है हमारी ज्ञान में, शोध में, अनुसंधान में, ये अनेक चीजों में दुनिया में हमारी नाम बन रही है। चाइना इधर खरीदती है, उधर खरीदती है, उसने इसको इतना सुंदर कर दिया, इतना बड़े मोटर गाड़ी बनाए, इसमें चाइना ने नाम कमाया। हम लोग के जो हिंदुस्तानी हैं वो दुनिया में ये माने जाते हैं कि ये सब बुद्धिमान लोग हैं, और ये बुद्धिमान लोग होने के कारण हमारे साथ रहेंगे। तो जो हमारी शोध अनुसंधान करनी है और जिससे हम आगे बढ़ना है वो करके दे सकते हैं। हमारा आज जब हमें इंडिया अमेरिका में इंडियंस बड़े बड़े जगहों में है, क्यों है? क्योंकि हमारी जो बुद्धि का जो शक्ति है वो हम वहाँ प्रकट करते हैं। तो उस समय में एक षड्यंत्र भी रची गई है उन लोगों से जो समझते हैं कि हमारे देश के नेताओं को हम लपेट सकते हैं, उनको उनके हाथ पैर बांध सकते हैं और इससे हम सारा देश को अपना बना सकते हैं। ये हुआ है पहले जब मुसलमान के आए थे, जब अंग्रेज आए थे। तो मैं ये कहता हूँ कि जो खतरा आज है वो है एक मानसिक खतरा, कि हमारे नेताओं में वो झूठ बोल करके या कुछ और करके या पैसा बांट करके पावर में आ जाते हैं, और उसके बाद हमारे कोई पूछने के लिए किसी को ताकत नहीं होती है। और मैं तो जानता हूँ कि हमारी जनता आजकल बहुत नाराज है, और जब अभी लोकसभा की चुनाव हुई थी उसमें बाल बाल बचे हमारे प्रधानमंत्री, और इधर उधर की थोड़ी उन्होंने जो एडजस्टमेंट की उसके कारण उनको थोड़ा वोट्स मिल सका जिससे वो जीते। परंतु उन्होंने ये भी किया कि जिन लोगों ने इनसे ज्यादा 8 लाख की वोट से मार्जिन से जीते थे, एक बार नहीं 2 बार, मैं डॉक्टर जनरल वीके सिंह की बात कर रहा हूँ, उसका टिकट तक नहीं दिया, क्योंकि वो फिर इनको छाया में डाल देंगे। तो इसीलिए इस प्रकार की जो मंशा है ये हमारे देश को बर्बाद करेगी, और ये आज दिखने लगा है। पहले जब मैं कहता था लोग मुझे नहीं मानते थे, परंतु आज मैं कहता हूं कि प्रधानमंत्री कहें कि कैलाश जो है, जो मैं कैलाश मानसरोवर की बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ, वो तो उत्तर में है, ये दक्षिण की तरफ है चाइना। उस पहाड़ में वापस जाकर उसमें हमारी त्रिकोण को हमारी जो झंडा है उसको गाड़ के दिखाएं, तब हम कह सकते हैं ये हमारी देश की देशभक्ति है।
डॉक्टर स्वामी, ये जो अग्रीमेंट जो हुआ है, मोदी ने अग्रीमेंट जो किया है, वो इंडिया के लिए क्या भलाई है? इसमें
क्या अग्रीमेंट किया मैं पूछना चाहता हूँ, मुझे तो पता ही नहीं है क्या कहीं छपा तो नहीं है, कौन सी एग्रीमेंट किया है। ट्रेड तो बहुत चल रही है पहले से, हम खरीदते हैं बेचते हैं सब कुछ, ऐसा कोई नई बात है नहीं। एक ही बात हमारे लिए लाभदायक होगी, यदि चाइना हमारी जमीन जिसको उन्होंने हड़प की उसको वापस कर दें तो दुनिया में हमारी नाम बन जाएगी। और एक भी यानी एक भी आदमी मरे बिना ये हमें मिल सकती है तो और भी अच्छा होगा। तो इस पर तो हम नहीं कर सकते, क्योंकि हमारे बारे जो मन बनाई है शी जिनपिंग ने कि जो नेता हैं हिंदुस्तान के ये सब डरपोक हैं और ये इनको धमकाएंगे तो ये पांव छुएंगे, और यही हुआ है।
और एक फॉरेन सेक्रेटरी विक्रम मिस्त्री ने कहा डॉक्टर एक दो दिन पहले क्या है कि डिसएंगेजमेंट फर्स्ट, डिस्कशन ऑन डी एस्केलेशन सेकेंड, एंड थर्ड डी इंडक्शन। ये मानना है कि अभी हम लोगों का जो भी जमीन कब्जा किया चाइना ने,
छोड़ के
अभी एक बस चला गया वो, फिर भी अभी हम लोगों को मिलने वाला नहीं है वापस वो। ये बात करते ही रहेंगे, कब तक बात करेंगे डॉक्टर स्वामी? ऐसा ही करते ही रहेंगे। तो डिसएंगेजमेंट फर्स्ट, डी एस्केलेशन नेक्स्ट, डी इंडक्शन थर्ड, उसके बाद जमीन आएंगे। ये तो आपने जो पहले तो अभी प्रोग्राम के पहले आपने कहा कि वो एक टोटल एब्जेक्ट सरेंडर है। हम लोग तो एकदम मोदी ने जाके वो जो जितना भी हम लोग जवान ने हम लोग लड़ाई की है ये चाइनीज के साथ, जिसको भगा दिए अभी इंडिया के जमीन से, अभी उनके लिए क्या है डॉक्टर? व्हाट विल बी देयर स्टेटस, व्हाट इज देयर?
मैं आपको कहता हूं कि इन चाइना को से लड़ना है तो मैं समझता हूं कि जो भी थोड़े आज भी वीर लोग बीजेपी में हैं, आरएसएस में हैं, विश्व हिंदू परिषद में हैं, इनको इकट्ठा करनी चाहिए और उनके नेता इसको बात को स्वीकार करना चाहिए। क्योंकि कांग्रेस पार्टी का कोई रीढ़ की हड्डी तो पहले से खत्म। इन्होंने जाकर 1995 में अग्रीमेंट भी कर ली और चाइना आज राजीव गांधी फंड मैंने सेंटर फाउंडेशन के लिए पैसा दे रहे हैं और प्रियंका वहाँ चाइना में ये चीज़ों को बेचती थी। तो ये सारी चीज़ों को इन्होंने छिपा के रखा है। तो ये हमारे बीजेपी का विकल्प है ही नहीं कोई, परंतु जो मोदी है उसका विकल्प है। एक नहीं 10 है, 15 है और उनको अनुशासन में थोड़े दबे हुए हैं, परंतु उनको कहना चाहिए भाई ये ऐसा मौका है जो रामायण में और महाभारत में बिल्कुल साफ लिखा है कि कृष्ण भगवान कितने बार कहते हैं कि नियम अनुसार आप काम करें। जब नैतिकता का सवाल है तो आपको खड़ा होना चाहिए। जब द्रौपदी के साड़ी को खींचा गया तो उस समय वो हार गए, इसीलिए वो नियम अनुसार उन्होंने उसकी साड़ी उतारी। ये कृष्ण भगवान सुनने के लिए तैयार नहीं थे। कहते हैं ये जो है ये तो सीमा पार है, तो इसीलिए इसमें खड़े होने की जरूरत थी और वो खुद आए और उनको बचाया। तो हमारी जो लोग कहते हैं कि नहीं ये सौदा है, ये है, वो है, हमें अच्छा है, हमें लड़ना नहीं चाहिए। अरे वो लड़ने के लिए मूड में है तो तुम क्यों नहीं लड़ोगे? एक बार तुम चाइना को पीट दो। एक बार हमने किया था पर इंदिरा गांधी डर के मारे उसको दबा दिया था। वो है ये एक पास है सिक्किम में, उसमें ऐसा पिटाई की हमारे जवानों ने, मिलिट्री ने चाइनीज की, तो चाइनीज वहां से पूरा भाग गए। वो मुझे फिर एक सुमदुरुंग चू वैली, उसमें राजीव गांधी थे तो उन्होंने मुझे बताया, दिखाया, इसकी यानी वीडियो दिखाई। तो मैंने कहा कि इसको तो पब्लिश करना चाहिए, दूरदर्शन में देना चाहिए। नहीं इसमें बंद ही करना है। तो उनको भी उनके ऑफिसर्स ने समझा दिया कि इसको कहोगे तो फ्लेयर अप हो जाएगा, एक वॉर हो जाएगा, ये हो जाएगा। अरे तुम्हारे देश में कुछ हौसला बढ़ाने के लिए तो करना चाहिए ना। और यदि वॉर होगी तो फिर बहुत अच्छा। और आज मैं कहता हूं कि चाइना तिब्बत को अलग कर सकते हैं, कभी भी अलग कर सकते हैं। वहाँ के लोग अभी चाइना को माना नहीं। हमने जरूर एक अग्रीमेंट में तिब्बत को चाइना के साथ हिस्सा किया, ये जवाहरलाल नेहरू ने किया। परंतु तुम हमारे की देश की टुकड़ा करने के लिए चाहोगे तो हम तुम्हारी देश की टुकड़ा करेंगे। ताइवान को अलग मान लो, उसको वहां एम्बेसी खोल दो, जो बीजिंग में जो एम्बेसी बंद कर दो, फिर देखो चाइना की जो रुख है कैसे बदलती है।
वो तो लाइन पे आ जाएंगे डॉक्टर स्वामी,
फिर लाइन में आ जाएंगे।
डॉक्टर एक और चीज है डॉक्टर स्वामी, आपने जो बोला था कि हमारे जवान ने लड़ाई की थी, अभी 22 में भी किया था डॉक्टर स्वामी, वो यांगसी जगह पे, वहां पे आप भगा दिए।
हाँ, अभी हमने खुल के दे दिया। सही बात।
और एक चीज, ये सहयोग कह सकते हैं कि नहीं, मतलब ऐसा है कि अभी खबर है कि अदानी ने एक नया कंपनी खुलवाया है चाइना में। अभी ये भी जो अग्रीमेंट हो रहा है और जो भी डी एस्केलेशन हो रहा है, ये तो सहयोग है, नहीं तो क्या है डॉक्टर साहब, क्या कह सकते हैं?
क्या बोले, अडानी को क्यों दोष दे हम? ये तो मोदी नहीं होता तो अडानी कहीं नहीं होता।
Jagdish, आप कुछ पूछना चाहते हैं? No, I think it has been a very long discussion and a very big discussion. I'm seeing the counter just now live. 85,761 are watching this show, and we thank our viewers across the globe. It is watched in about 120 countries, and we are on numerous social media channels. Facebook and YouTube are just a few, but we are there on Spaces, on podcast and all that. So we thank our viewers across the globe. I wish them compliments of the Deepavali seasons, as Deepavali is around the corner. Next Sunday, we will not be having our program because it's part of the Deepavali festival. That is the 3rd November program we will not be having, but we will be back, Gyan Ganga Words of Wisdom, on the 10th of November. So this is what I wish to tell our viewers, wishing them compliments of the Deepavali season. And with these words, we are ending today's show. We thank our technical team led by Ashish Shetty, Tejas Navalgol, Swaminathan, Gadgi Rakesh, Vishal Mehta, Ajesh Nair, and Ishwar Iyer for their support, which we get throughout the week. And behind the stage, they are doing all this hard work for putting this program together. And I also thank Ramesh Swamy for his support and being on the panel today. So with these words, we are ending today's program. Jai Hind, Jai Shri Ram.
Jagdish, एक चीज, Jagdish, I just want to ask the viewers to join VHS